What's up, guys? In this video we're going to be looking at the top stocks that have been holding strong when the market was selling off hard. Today we're going to be looking at the top stocks and penny stocks that was holding strong. We're also going to be looking at the quick stock market recap for the entire day and what is an important news and reports that can potentially affect the stock market for tomorrow, guys. So we're going to be going over all this information and detail coming up. Also, let me know in the comment section below what stocks that you guys are watching, if you believe the stock market is going to crash or this is just a minor pullback that we're experiencing right now, guys. But now let's get right into the video, guys. Alright guys, so before we get into the video, make sure you like the video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you have any questions, make sure you drop it in the comment section below, guys. As you can see over here today, guys, the stock market actually pulled back significantly. This was one of the worst pullbacks for the past 2 weeks. As you can see, the major companies that were leading the stock market to the upside actually had a break and pull back significantly. You know, we got Apple that pulled back 1.76%, Microsoft 2%, Google down 2.16%, Facebook down 3.39%. You got, the technology sector, the bank sector, JP Morgan basically down 3.3%. All of these sectors are basically went to the downside. There are a lot of things that affected the stock market today. We're going to talk about them in detail. We're also going to be looking at, as I mentioned, one of the stocks, what are a few stocks that hold strong and they're actually rallied to the upside. As you can see over here, we got and the technology, the communication services, telecom service, T-Mobile was the strongest in the healthcare sector. J&J and things like that were selling off, but Gilead was involved in the COVID-19 vaccine actually holds strong, and other companies such as Kroger actually held strong, so we're going to be looking at some of, the little bit of greens that we actually see in this heat map. We're going to talk about these stocks, guys, but in order to understand what actually happened, or if you're going to actually have a continuation to the downside, we need to look at exactly what caused the stock market crash today, what stock market pullback today. As you can see over here, the majority of the thing kind of sold off because of, the COVID-19 cases rising, and also we have some kind of tariff news that's coming out, and we talked about some of the IMF reports that were going to be reported by the World Bank. Economic outlook was reported today, so that was also one of the negative things that affected it. But as you can see over here, some of the states are actually prohibiting some of the people when they actually go travel if they go to New York, for example, from Texas to New York, you're going to be required to quarantine yourself for 14 days. And also some major companies like Apple actually temporarily closed their stores, so they started to close a few days ago, but they started to specifically talk about what are the major stores that they start closing in. Of course, one of the hot spots that are happening right now is in Texas and Florida. So those are the major places, these kind of, cut downs are happening. Some of the closures are happening right now. So also the funding for this COVID-19 tests that's been performed by the federal government, the funding is transferring to the hot spots like Texas and to Florida and things like that. So the government is also stepping in to kind of help these states that are having a lot of spiking of the COVID-19. One of the factors that affected the sell-off today might have been due to mutual funds and pension funds needing to rebalance their gains from equities to bonds. So they're transitioning, their holdings from equities to bonds, so that might actually contribute to the sell-off. This was one of the things that was expected. And one of the other things that kind of affected the market was tariffs. As you can see over here, the U.S. is considering imposing tariffs on some 3.1 billion worth of goods from France, Germany, Spain, and the United Kingdom, and products that include like beer, olives, and trucks and things like that. They're also going to be imposing tariffs on Canada for the aluminum and things like that. So this is one of the major things that kind of affected the stock market today. And yesterday, as I talked about, also the World Monetary Fund, it's going to be talking about the world economic outlook. As you can see over here, they are expecting for this year to be negative 4.9%. That's almost 2 percentage point lower than the 3 months ago that they expected the outlook to be. And also in 2021, the global growth is expected to rebound to 5.4% 8%. That's what they're anticipating if, the pandemic's kind of slows down by that time, or if there's a vaccine coming up and things like that. So that is one of the things that they're anticipating. But in the short term, there's a huge issues that's going on right now. Also, Chicago Fed President Charles Evans said that the U.S. economy may require more monetary stimulus. So that, the Congress and the president and things like that, they're working on, passing on another stimulus package pretty soon. So they're probably working on $1 trillion to $2 trillion. Some of the people actually recommended $3 trillion. So they're kind of in talks to provide a stimulus package that's going to help the economy in general to the upside, so to help us rebound from this pandemic. But as you can see over here, these are the major things that could potentially that have affected the stock market to the downside a lot. So there's been a lot of pressure to the downside. As I talked about, Apple store area, 7 stores has been closed because of the COVID-19 outbreak worsens in those specific areas. But guys, now let's look at some of the top stocks that have been holding strong and the top stocks that we watched from yesterday. I had a pretty good question. I have some questions about Hyliion. I talked about it yesterday. So the merger date is actually not set. They're just set on the SEC filings that they're going to merge and then start trading on in the Q3 2020. So the company's still going to be trading at ticker symbol SHLL. So when the merge happens, that's when all, the buying and the momentum can potentially kind of happen when those merging completes. But we still don't know exactly the date for the merge that's going to happen. Just keep an eye on this stock, and the merger is going to happen at Q3 2020. So that's going to take a few months. So for that, so we just have to wait and see exactly when the merger is going to happen and when they start trading with a different ticker symbol and when the pre-merger is going to be completed, guys. So now let's look at, the stocks that have been on the headlines, guys. So one of the stocks that has a headline and that broke out to the upside is Plug Power stock, and it actually moved towards the 6-year high, mainly because of the analyst upgraded the stock. So they basically upgraded the stock because of some of the deals that they were working on actually got finalized and they closed the deal. So they raised their price targets for this company. Some of them raised it to $7, because of this main deal that they actually closed. So the stock significantly moved to the upside. As you can see over here, now it's at $7.57, and that was kind of the price target these companies actually upgraded. This banks actually upgraded this stock too. So this is one of the stocks that have a major news to the upside. But the other stocks that was strong today for this entire day was stocks that were in the COVID-19 that are involved in fighting the COVID-19. Like, for example, we talked about INO yesterday. They have a huge government contract with the U.S. government. So they're going to be, they're working on with vaccine, and they also broke out and the government funded them close to $71 million, $71 million. Yesterday, we talked about that deal that they made with the government. The government also bought them. So they had a continuation date to the upside, and also other stocks, other penny stocks that actually had a spike today also was involved with fighting the COVID-19. Now, this stock is ticker symbol SINT. As you can see over here, it bounced back from $1.50 to $2.10, mainly because they came out with a release that said that they actually have a product that is going to help out fighting the spread of the corona. As you can see over here, this company, Syntax Technologies, announces a publication of study to reduce the spread and transfer of coronavirus. So this study talks about exactly the chemical that they've been working on for the past 2 years that helps to protect, the spread of the virus. So basically, you can actually mix the silicon nitride with the products that you want to build. For example, they put these chemical in and masks when they initially build it. So when you wear the mask, this chemical is also in there. So, when the virus actually, hits the surfaces of these products that they're potentially have the silicon nitride, these, the virus is going to be dead, so they're going to be get killed as quick as possible. So this is one of the products that they're thinking about, that they actually worked and they published, this chemical. This is the study that they just published right now, talking about they can use this chemical silicon nitride in different products. Like, for example, they can actually, add these chemicals, to doorknobs and all these medical equipments and things like that. And you can actually protect the spread of the COVID-19 on those services, So this is why one of the reasons like the stock actually spiked to the upside over, as you can see over here. But however, the company actually offered a public offering. Basically, they're going to be raising funds too. That's why it kind of sold off over here after it spiked up. So even though they did a public offering, the stock spiked up when they talked about the COVID-19 publications they talked about today, guys. So all right, guys, as you can see over here, the 1-year chart basically was just consolidating. Even though, the pandemic news came out for the year, the stock did not get affected that much. It just spiked up when they started publishing about, the COVID-19 efforts that they're talking about. So that is super sketchy. So keep an eye on it. But the 1-year price target for this company is $2.25. And the volume significantly increased from having an average of 3.9 million shares to 133 shares today, guys. Now, let's talk about, just have a quick recap of the overall stock market. We're going to be talking about the top stocks that have been holding strong. What are the sectors that have actually been performing pretty good, that have an entire pullback to the downside today for the first time? We're going to be talking about in detail about these companies, guys. As you can see over here, the stock market actually pull back a little bit to today, so it's still in a range. When you compare it to the previous days that it had, it's still on a range of the high that it made around 325 and the low that it bounced of around 296. It's actually getting closer to the low over here. So we'll see what's going to happen. There's an important reports I'm going to be talking about, what are the reports coming out pretty soon. That's why this is going to affect the stock market for tomorrow significantly, but we will see what's going to happen. But as you can see over here, we're still in a range. And also, guys, I'm using a candlestick. If you guys don't know how to use it, how to read these kind of charts, I made a video. There's going to be a link in the description box below. You guys can go check out the other video to kind of understand, just the basic understanding of how to use these candlestick charts. So this, as you can see, was kind of a pretty big sell-off today that it had from 309. We opened at 3. We opened at 309 and we closed at 304. So that was significant. And we were down 2.51%. And the leading of the stock market for the past few days was Apple. Apple was hitting all-time highs. As you can see over here, a pullback today, pretty good. So it had a pretty good pullback, a gapped up. So kind of trying to fill the gap over here. Also Netflix pullback. Microsoft pullbacks, all these major companies, that were leading the market, they're in the NASDAQ, actually had a pullback to the downside. So it's not a surprise. So that's why the question is this a stock market? Does it continue to go to the downside? Are we going to have a crash, or is this just a minor pullback? Because these stocks are extended to the upside, and these are the major stocks that were leading the market, that was supporting. These are stocks that have multi-trillion-dollar market caps. So when they actually experience a pullback, the overall market feels the impact of these stocks pulling back, so Microsoft pulling back 2.02%. And also, as we talked about, these airlines, these Carnival Cruise, all of these kind of companies are going to hit pretty bad to the downside if the numbers keep spiking. And we are actually slowly moving into another lockdown, another second wave coming up pretty soon. As you can see, American Airlines stock just got beat down for the past few days. Now it's actually gonna go below. It's approaching like $10, guys. So it's been going down significantly. Also, if there's positive news that comes out, if the number starts to decline too, it just can keep rising to the upside. But in the meantime, it's just getting crushed, guys. It added another 6.86% to the downside today. Just keep gapping down. And also United Airlines is also trending to the downside. It actually went back to the price point that it actually broke out to the upside when it went all the way to $50, close to $47 to $50. So this is really significant pullback that we're experiencing right now with these companies. And also the other stock is Carnival Cruise, guys. Now these companies were talking about, accepting customers, doing a cruise ship trips to different areas. But now, things are spreading up again. Second wave is approaching. So these companies are more than likely going to continue to the downside because the numbers are actually not looking pretty good for them. And they probably can go to the lows that they made over here, which is around $8, but we'll see what's going to happen with those numbers, guys, if there's no change coming up. So now the other major sectors are like the hype sectors that people like to buy and things like that, like Nikola, Tesla, all of these stocks, and also pullback today. Tesla was down $40 point. Tesla was down 4%, so it was actually at $1,000. Now it's down to $960. Nikola stock also pulled back. It did not pull back that much when you compare it to Tesla, but it's definitely kind of close to the opening price that it had over here. Now, ticker symbol SHLL or Hyliion stock, this merger is still happening pretty soon, guys. So keep an eye on this stock. The merger is going to be in Q3 2020. So when that pre-merger or the merger kind of happens, you better believe this stock is going to have, some positive things to the upside. Now let's talk about the top stocks that were strong, the top 5 stocks that you guys need to watch for if this pandemic or this stock market crash that we like to call it, if it continues. These stocks are just super, super strong, guys. The first stock is Zoom. Of course, Zoom is basically just going to the upside, making all-time highs again and again and again, mainly because even if the pandemic numbers keep rising, people still need to work from home, and the number one product that the people use right now is Zoom videos communication. So this stock keeps going to the upside. And the other stocks that we covered was also the major companies that are on the front lines, and they're trying to find vaccines and solutions for this pandemic. So INO, of course, we covered it over here. And VAX, this is also one of the companies that actually got funding from the United States government. So they're actually working on providing a vaccine. They're actually on phase 2 trials to provide, a solution for a vaccine for this pandemic. So as you can see over here, they spiked up significantly to the upside today. They're up 11.25%. So all of these vaccine related stocks moved to the upside today. These are the strong stocks because the majority of the news was kind of negative because of the pandemic news. The other stock that we're going to be looking at is going to be Gilead, so ticker symbol GILD. Now this stock is what you call Chop City, guys. So look at that, it just went up, down, up, down, up, down, but it had a positive green day today. But it's really undecided with this stock. You never know it's going to go up, down, and sometimes they release positive news, it gaps up to the upside, and sometimes their press release is just kind of hyped up, and this stock is just really kind of messed up right now, but it's just chopping up and down. But still, it's one of those stocks that are working on providing a solution for the pandemic, working on providing a solution, for the vaccine that we desperately need, the entire world needs, basically, So the other stock, restaurant stocks that are super strong today was Chipotle. Chipotle is just really, is just a strong stock. As you can see over here, it just bounced back from the pandemic lows and it did not look back. It went to $1,000. It went above $1,000. Right now is $1,047, and it had a green day. It's a green day. It kind of sold off a little bit, but at the end of the day, it pulled back and closed positive 0.85%. Another stock that you guys need to watch for is going to be ticker symbol SFM, which is a Sports Farmers Markets Incorporated. Now, this stock really did pretty well when the pandemic, when the people start to close and start to panic, start buying and start hoarding products and things like that. This stock really performed pretty well. As you can see on their earnings, it's just went ballistic. So if there's another closing out, shutting down happening, this stock can perform pretty well. So they provide, groceries and things like that to major, markets, markets right, like Walmart and things like that. So this is basically the stock that you need to keep an eye on. And we talked about ships. Now, ship is the penny stock that we talked about yesterday that, it actually went up today. It opened around, 32 cents and made a high of 35 cents. It made a high of like 36 cents and made a low of 25 cents. But I basically holding a very small share of this, kind of the earnings, because the earnings is coming up tomorrow. So this is going to be a less sketchy thing, guys. So either this stock is going to go up or it's just going to crash because of earnings, so we'll see what's going to happen. But I really do not recommend people hold through earnings because you never know what's going to happen. But we'll see what's going to be exactly what's going to happen with this stock tomorrow. And I also covered SINT. So this is the stock that have the coronavirus publications published today. So these are the things that, that's why the main reason that it kind of spiked up to the upside. Now, an important thing that you guys need to watch for tomorrow, the stock market is going to be, it can be affected by this report. It's going to be at 8:30 a.m. The initial jobless claims, the regular state program SA, they're going to be reporting the jobless claims for June 20 week. So the previous one was 1.51 million. So they're projecting 1.38 million. So if this number actually is, below or higher, the stock market can react, positively or, negatively if it's down but you never know. These numbers are really, really super important. And also at 8:30 a.m., you got a continuous jobless claims report. So the previous one is 20.5 million. So we'll see what's going to happen. What's going to be the number for tomorrow. And 8:30 a.m. also at at 8:30 a.m. also we got a GDP revision. So the previous one, the Q1 was negative 5%. So now they're projecting also to be the same, which is negative 5.0%. Also at 8:30 a.m. the durable goods order. At 8:30 a.m. also a core capital goods order reports. And 8:30 a.m. also the trade and goods advance report is going to be reported. So this is going to be for the month of May. They're going to be talking about it. So the previous one was negative 69.7 million. So they're anticipating the previous one was negative 69.7 billion, and they're anticipating negative 66.5 billion. So, and also at 11 a.m. the Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic speaks, and also at 4:30 p.m. the bank stress test is going to be released. So these are the important reports that can potentially affect the markets tomorrow. So keep an eye on these specific times and reports. So that's going to be the end of the video, guys. So I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, make sure you drop in the comment section below. Make sure you like the video, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. But I'll catch you guys on another video tomorrow, guys. So have a wonderful day.